Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of our Gulliver vlog. This is week 8, would you believe it? Week 8 of our Gulliver vlog.
Where's the theme tune?
Where's the theme tune? Come on Dan, theme tune please for next week. Before we get started, we just wanted to make a very quick announcement, and that is that we have set up a Ko-Fi page. I keep saying to Noel, I actually don't really know how you pronounce it. I don't know whether it's Ko-Fi or coffee or whatever, but anyway, we've set one up. And this is because obviously during these very tricky times, it is particularly tricky for a theatre company, and we are hoping that maybe some people might like to make a small or large donation to the company. On our Ko-Fi page, you can make a one-off contribution, or you can become a monthly subscriber, a patron if you will, and then you get exclusive content on that platform, on Ko-Fi. We hope you've been enjoying the Gulliver vlog. If you have, or if you've been enjoying any of our other tutorials or the little film that we made with the toilet roll puppets, then we hope that you might consider making a contribution to the company in order that we can hope that we might survive this crisis and be able to actually go and perform in the theatres when they do finally reopen.
We didn't want to ask for something for nothing
No.
either, so we've been working on, the reason we've been splitting the days is we have been working on other things that we can put out now. 2 of those projects are pretty much ready to go. So we've been working on 2 audio dramas, a full kind of radio drama version of our adaptation of Casting the Runes, which is an M.R. James sort of ghost story.
Ghost story, yeah.
And also a sort of audio book with music was how you described it. I think that's a good description. A kind of audio book version of Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, which is also our adaptation. So we've put those out there. They're available for anybody to listen to. If you have a listen and you like them, maybe you'll consider making a donation. You know, think of it like the price of a ticket or something like that. That would be fantastic.
Moving on, back to Gulliver. I started back with my Struldbrug this week, so as you remember from last week, the chin still wasn't filled out and neither was the nose. I have remedied that situation and finished the first layer of papier-mâché. We're really pleased with the shape. Actually, we really like it. It's got a great sense of its age, the drawn look, and the folds of the skin, the wrinkles, the lines.
I think it looks brilliant, just under light. I can imagine it under theatre lighting looking great. Yeah, I love the eyes, I love these bits on the cheeks. Even though it's quite exaggerated, I think it works really well.
There's still a couple of little tweaks that I'd like to do around the eye area. And then the next step will be to make the body for the puppet, which for this one I think is probably going to be relatively insubstantial, quite wraith-like, in order to continue the sense that it's very old. So that was the Struldbrug. Meanwhile, Noel has been continuing work on the Yahoo. So you may remember from last week, we showed you a little, here he is, little miniature Yahoo puppet.
Yeah, so having made this prototype last week, you'll remember that we were quite pleased with the way it moved and everything. But there's always a few things that you want to change or that don't quite translate when you start building a bigger version. I've been working on that this week, and although this is still a very basic skeleton, there are certain, there's bits of it that I'm quite pleased with. There's a lot of work still to be done, but hopefully you can see that I've got a few loose bits of rope around the middle here, which are slightly confusing the picture, I think, but hopefully you can see that the shape is there. It's very spindly right now. It looks more like a skeleton than anything else, so we need to find ways to flesh that out a bit. I'm hoping to add some more ribs in here, give him a fuller body, make the arms and legs a little bit thicker. But the shape itself, I'm relatively pleased with.
Yeah, it's good, and it moves well. We'll show you a little video at the end of this, which will illustrate how it works.
Yeah, it's
better.
kept that same natural movement. It has its own kind of shifting movement without you having to do very much, which is lovely. And it's not too bad for the first stages. There's a lot of work still to do, obviously, but yeah, I'm not displeased for the beginning.
Cool. And you'd also been thinking about set stuff, hadn't you, while you've been...
Yeah, I mean, like we said, because we've been splitting the days, you're perhaps not getting through as much as you might hope each week, and that's been quite challenging to figure all that out. But I've also been thinking about the scale of the set and trying to figure out the beginning measurements for how big things need to be in relation to a personal stage.
Meanwhile, I've been working on the horse. So as you may remember from last week, it was a frame, really, a sort of skeleton, and so I've been papier-mâchéing. and trying to get the shape more realistic, get the sculpting right. I'll show you quickly before. This is rather large, but I think you'll agree, I hope you'll agree, that the shape is pretty good. I've been trying to smooth out some of the harsher edges that the strips of pizza box caused in the frame, which I think has been working. There's still a little bit of work to do on there. In fact, one of the scary things I had to do yesterday was cut a bit of the frame, the original frame, out here under the sort of chin, because it was creating a strange bump, which from the side looked a little odd. It almost had an Adam's apple, so I had to smooth that over. But that worked really well, so I'm pleased with that, because now the side, the profile is much better.
I think it looks great.
It's a little unwieldy, although it's not very heavy, which is good, because I was concerned that it was going to be heavy. It's unwieldy because it hasn't got anything to hold it by, really, whereas we will probably put some kind of handle, I would think. You were saying a kind of cross, maybe a cross piece in there.
Yeah, so you can grab it
grab
that way,
onto.
or something like that. I think it looks brilliant, and I think the challenge is when you're making something that looks more realistic. If you're making something stylised, you can get away with quite a lot, or just very representative bits and pieces. When you're making something realistic, the closer it gets to looking like the real thing, the less you can get away with. So the odd little things where something sticks out too much, or it just doesn't look quite right, is really off-putting. And it's amazing to me, even when you cut that little bit out at the bottom, it's amazing how, tiny little change makes a big difference, and suddenly it just kind of clicks and you go, yes, that's it, that's the right shape now, it looks right.
So the next step with this will be my favourite bit, actually, which is to sort of decorate. So it'll be putting the forelock, the mane, and doing the eyes, which I am actually quite nervous about, because eyes on puppets are always tricky. I think we said that before. And with this, it's going to be particularly difficult, not least because it's a horse, but also it's old, it needs some wisdom. The character is very wisdomous. That's not a word, but it is now. So we need to make sure that we evoke that. I like wisdomous.
You might be wondering as well how we're going to do the rest of the horse, because there is, the horse is quite an important character in that section of the story. We've got an idea for that. It's a little bit out there, and we can't really test it until we've got this sort of relatively finished. I'm quite excited about it. It's a bit of a weird idea, but I am quite excited about it. So hopefully at some stage we'll be able to show you that and either commiserate or congratulate.
Or you can congratulate us, because it looks great. We'll see, who knows. So that's it for this week. Please do remember to listen to the audio dramas, if you would like to, of course, and visit our Ko-Fi page. The link is in the description. We would be ever so grateful for your support. Thanks very much.
Thanks.